Hello there, this is the Accessibility Show. I'm Nathan Wrigley, and I'm joined, as always, by this gentleman over here, Joe Dolson. Hello, Joe.
Hello, Nathan. How are you?
Yeah, good. We've had a bit of a time off, actually. We were
Yeah.
due to record at the latter part of last year, but we never managed it. I think it was WordPress's release that kind of got in the way, if memory serves.
Yeah. There was just a lot of things going on at once, and
Yeah.
we got together, chatted, and we're like, yeah, we don't really have time for this.
No, so that was good. You did what was probably more important. You were wrangling the accessibility side of the latest WordPress release 6.9. And that's all behind us now. So it's the year 2026. We're making a fresh start, and we're on, like I said, episode 9 of the Accessibility Show. The endeavor of this show is to leverage Joe's expertise in the accessibility arena, the web more generally, but obviously this is a WordPress show, so we tend to sort of focus on the bits and pieces that WordPress can bring to bear. That's going to be no different today. We're going to be focusing on some WordPressy sites. But as always, a little bit of a caveat at the beginning. The intention here is to find things which may not be as Joe would have them. And that can easily be misinterpreted as an endeavor to sort of, I don't know, just take chunks out of different people and designers and the way that they've done things. That isn't the idea. The idea here is just to bring forward things which Joe notices so that you can notice them. And so if you get the impression that we're being, I don't know, a little bit overbearing or criticizing things that don't need to be criticized, please just have that in mind, because it's important to notice. I think we're doing this for the right reasons. I think, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so.
Yeah.
I'm certainly, my aim is to be kind,
Yeah.
but there's only some kind you can be while also calling out problems.
Yeah. So in the past, we've taken a different topic, like we've navigation and menus and things like that. And we've done those one thing at a time. But this one, episode number 9, Joe just wanted to bring a particular site to our attention. So this may be a shorter episode than we've done in the past. And probably the easiest thing for me to do, Joe, is just to put you on the screen, or share your screen. So let's have a quick look at
Let's
that.
do it.
And you can tell us how this caught your attention, where it can be found and whatnot, maybe?
So this caught my attention because the Automatic Design blog posted this thing. It's just this best in WordPress design and this particular site. It caught my attention. I was like, okay, this is interesting. There are always a lot of, graphic design awards going to websites. And one of the things that I've known for a long time, when you look at the award winners at like the Webbies or things like that, is accessibility is rarely a consideration. It's not even a thing that they think about in these awards, which I find frustrating. I feel like there should be some basic standards these need to meet in order to be good enough. So I just wanted to take a look at this. It had some terms in it that caught my attention that I thought were interesting. One of the key terms is that it said best. Best is always a very weighted term. It has a strong idea behind it.
Yeah.
It says quality, it says this is really well done, et cetera, et cetera. So I do want to pick that apart a bit. But it described it in particular as a slow, intentional, and emotionally charged. And I will say I might dispute the degree to which this is slow.
Okay.
I think it's certainly very intentional. It's got a very strong design. It's got a very strong character to it. When I showed it to Nathan right before we actually went live, he commented it looked like a Beatles film. And I was like, yeah, it's got a Yellow Submarine vibe.
Absolutely. It really does. Yeah, it really does.
Graphic design, the character design in it is very much like this. So I do not dispute that it is a very interesting, unique design experience. So what does it look like through an accessibility lens?
There's the point.
So that's kind of the first thing I wanted to look at. And the very first thing I notice in this site is not that it's incredibly design heavy, but it's really animation heavy. You watch as I'm kind of scrolling along here, and there's this one giant word that keeps changing. It seems to be scroll connected. So each scroll of the wheel, it changes. It might just be timed. Not really sure. Kind of doesn't matter. But it's really intense. You see these enormous pop-ups for each of the links that I'm hovering. We get down to some of these areas here. We've got these constantly scrolling bars of information. This is a lot of animation. And of course, I will, first of all, observe that I do have the prefers reduced animation flag active.
Oh, you do?
All
Gosh.
browse with that active.
Okay.
You will note if this is their reduced animation, I am terrified to make any changes because this is a lot. There's a lot going on here. Everything on the page, every screen you're in, there's something moving. That, to me, this is really deeply problematic for some audiences. And I just want to say that I don't have any problem with a website using a lot of animation. It's fine. There's a tool for dealing with that. It's called respecting the prefers reduced animation flag so that a user can set in their operating system for themselves, I don't want all these animations.
Can I pause you? Because I don't actually think we've ever drilled into this. Obviously, I would imagine anybody that's watching this probably has some notion that animation is a thing and that the browser can set a preference to reduce it. Are you able to sort of drill down briefly, I suppose, in why do people wish to reduce animation? I'm somebody who, when I see animation, I have there's no visceral reaction typically for me. There's just a curiosity. Oh, it's animating. But I don't have that sort of thing when I go to the movies and, I'm looking at the big screen and everything's moving quickly and you're in an aeroplane and it's swooping down and all of that. I can just watch that endlessly and get great pleasure from it. So I'm curious as to what the what the thing is, or things probably, that people well, I don't have the vocabulary, but I can hopefully you can see where I'm going with that.
Issues, there's basically, I would say, two main lines of why this is a problem. One of them is within the kind of neurodivergent spectrums of all sorts, and it has to do with distraction.
Right.
Like drawing your attention to things that are not the content you're trying to do. And honestly, a lot of these animations, they are there to draw attention. It's just that what makes neurodivergence is that some people see that distraction, go, oh, cool. And then they go back to what they're reading, no problem. Other people just keep getting drawn to it. It's just constantly there and they can't tear themselves away from it. So they just aren't able to accomplish their goals. So that is a problem. It can make this website extremely difficult. The other one is actually more to do with triggering actual medical conditions.
Oh,
they can trigger nausea. So like if you have a significant motion reaction with nausea, this website might be literally impossible for you to use. You just start to scroll around and you're like, oh, I can't do this.
wow. Okay, so there's an actual physical reaction,
yes,
which is
absolutely.
That's fascinating, right? Yeah.
But then it can also, with some types of animation, they could trigger epileptic seizures.
Oh, okay.
So like there's a lot of different possibilities, and really it's just not that difficult to respect these flags, and they're actually set at the operating system level. They're not in the browser. So usually, your operating system will have some accessibility settings, and somewhere in there will be something like disable animations, et cetera, and that will disable animations if the website has actually respected that.
Can I segue again? I'm sorry to keep doing this. I'm going to segue one more time.
That's why we're having a conversation.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. Does the real world... So let me just think this through in my head. Does the usual world, if I walk outside my front door and I'm interacting with, I don't know, I go shopping or I'm walking in a forest or what have you, is there anything in the actual real world which may trigger those kind of same reactions? Or is this more a case of it's a new thing which has been discovered since the advent of all of us staring at screens all day, and the fact that they can blink very quickly and that they can be incredibly bright and noisy and what have you? Again, I don't really know where I'm going with there, but hopefully you can see where I'm aiming my target.
Yes and no. So it is essentially, to some degree, that's motion sickness, and which is always that disjunct between what your body is physically doing and what you are seeing. So that's most often recognized on ships or in cars when driving.
Of course, yes,
But
that makes
the same
sense.
different certain types of animation on a screen can basically be that same disjunct. And if you're much more reactive to that, that can be a problem. So that's a case where that is the real world thing. Um, but an awful lot of it is, it's screens, it's flashing lights. It is an element of the modern world as the modern world has gotten louder and faster moving. And you go to Times Square and you've got 200-foot tall screens that are flashing lights at you. Yeah, this can be overwhelming. That is absolutely the modern world, and it is also reality.
And it's a very, very invisible thing to somebody like me, who, I mean, not only can you not see it in the person standing next to you who's experiencing that, but
Right.
also it's very, unless somebody explains that to you, that there's no real direct empathy. I'm not going to intuit that that is the way that they're perceiving that Times Square scene, or
Right.
the screen that they're watching. Okay, that's really
Some people will
interesting.
go into that and they're like, oh, this
Yeah.
is so exciting and vibrant and interesting. And others will go into like, oh my God, I have to get out of here. Um,
Isn't that fascinating, though, that essentially a website can cause something which I'll just call, you know, temporary illness?
yep,
That's even plausible, and there can't be too many people out there who would deliberately create something like that. However, they are deliberately creating things like that because they're not honoring these flags in the browser,
in
as this
my
website
opinion,
seems
this
to.
is something that would be really simple to do.
Yeah,
This is this is a thing that it doesn't compromise your design because you are still getting it. You're giving people the experience they want. So the majority of people will have animations enabled. They'll see exactly what you did. And that subset of people who don't see the animations, it's like, well, they're still going to see your site. And in fact, they'll see more of it because without that, they're potentially going to get to this and go, holy crap, I need to leave.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, uh, it's not really great.
Well,
And I think
thank you for
it's an
the
interesting
yeah.
challenge. Like, I know people can say, it's like, well, if you don't like this design, then you should go away. You're not one of our potential clients. But that's actually mistaking the person doing the exploration with the person making the decision about what will be hired. Like the person doing that exploration, like, if you're a manager at a company that's supposed to be looking at potential design companies, you need to be selecting options. Other people might be actually making those decisions. And you're going to deselect this one on the grounds of, I can't look at their website.
Right.
But they might have still been a perfectly good candidate, especially because this is the type of issue which is only an issue because they haven't taken this step to make it respectable for other people.
Yeah, I suppose a curious way that I'm thinking about it in my head is that if you're the captain of a ship and you know that a proportion of the people on your ship are going to be physically unwell, if you steer the ship left into that storm, uh,
Right.
or go right where the water is calm, it's kind of okay. Which decision are we going to make? Well, let's go towards
Are
the
you just
calm.
going to be a dick, or
Yeah,
are you going to try
that's
and, give people a better experience?
yeah. Oh, well, I apologize for the segue there, but I thought that
Well,
was
that's
kind
fine.
of
Yeah.
interesting in going down. So back to the website. Sorry.
I mean, it's good to talk at length about some of these things that are
Yeah.
invisible. They're
Yeah.
not always obvious. So the next thing I kind of took a look at is focus states. Um, I just was like, okay, what does this look like? Um, so let's just walk through a little bit. I mean, first of all, this is pretty prominent. I don't really like the pulsing on this. If you can't see that, the focus state on this particular item is just kind of
Yeah,
pulsing.
I can see it throbbing a little bit.
One
The
of those
whatever that
animations that I don't like.
logo is. Yeah.
Um, these are pretty straightforward. They're quite visible. But then you start to get past that, and now we're in all
Oh,
these moving things. Like, so where am I? Okay, so I'm moving to the right. I can't really tell what I'm on. I assume I'm on the item furthest to the left that's fully visible in the carousel, but it's, not totally clear. Oh, that's interesting. So that one didn't move. I'm at the end of the carousel. Okay, great.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That one didn't change focus at all. I'm inside the YouTube video. So, okay. This is where I start to feel like it's hard to see. It's hard to tell where you are. It's hard to tell what's going on. I could use some clues. And now we're into these scrolling honors lists. So what just happened there? So the thing I was on scrolled off the screen. Where is this going? Are you seeing this?
Yeah, well, kind of. I could
There,
see that
I'm on
you. Yeah, I can brief.
the
Yeah, I
tab
can now
again,
see.
and
Yeah.
I'm on Elementor, which is on the second row, and it just scrolled off the page. I don't know where it's gone. So at any rate, I can't figure out what's going on here. It seems to be random. I'm kind of just navigating to random items. It certainly isn't doing all of them because all of these are links for the mouse, but I'm skipping most of them. So
Yes.
I can't tell what's
Yes.
going on there. It's very confusing. And they keep scrolling once they're focused. So like uh, if you wanted to actually, you know, get to that design made in Germany sites we like thing, good luck.
So in
So
the
let's
ideal
give it
world, you'd have some navigable path where it was really obvious where you were going to end up. But what I think we saw there was just a complete lack of knowing where the heck you were.
Yeah, you just can't tell. Well, and it's
No.
more in this case, like you can actually, it's a fairly clear focus state on the items you're on. You can see that pretty clearly. What you can't tell is where are you going to go next?
Next, yeah.
Because like that next thing is not anywhere predictable. Arrow keys don't do anything. I would expect Shift Tab to go to Good Web Design website feature. It didn't. It went to the thing I can't fully see, but Viba Mautus.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't understand what's going on here. I cannot I cannot. There's no predictability. This is a very clear accessibility issue. It's just not in any particular order, and because it's moving constantly, it's that much more difficult.
So if you were using assistive technology and you were using the tab key, at this point, it's like you've just been thrown in the middle of a maze, basically, and it's kind
The
of
interesting thing is this is partially a problem because visibly I know how much stuff is here. So
okay.
I am seeing lots of things that I just can't figure out a way to get to. For somebody who was not sighted using like a screen reader, they would potentially just, it would be very straightforward. They just tab through, oh, CSS awards, okay, whatever this is, moving on. As far as they're concerned, there
Okay.
only were 2 links there
Yeah.
that they got to. If they're not curious about those and didn't explore them any further, then that's fine. It's
That's
just that they haven't
interesting.
missed a whole bunch of content. Like
Yeah.
that stuff didn't exist for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And it's going to be highly variable because I got to different links every path through. Every time I went to it, I had slightly different things.
Okay.
So, and that's probably because they're using a roving tab index, which is to say that as things come visible, they will be given the ability to be keyboard focused. And then as they leave, they stop being keyboard focusable.
Yeah.
Which is this is not a good case for that. But I'm guessing that's what's happening. It's a bit of a mess. Didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
So then you get to the bottom and things are straightforward, clear again. But a lot of this, the complaint I have here, it's all still connected to that animation because a lot of the problems are with these animated things that are making things really difficult. It's just making life harder to get to the different pieces of it.
Yes. Yes, that makes sense. Things sort of scrolling off and taking their focus with them.
So once I had looked at keyboard navigation, I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to look at some of the accessible naming. So this is going to be about what are things called when a screen reader user gets to them. So let's start by looking at this carousel here. It's got all these things in it. I'm going to inspect this and let's figure out what this is. Okay, so it's a link. The link has an ARIA label of image carousel. That's already pretty strange. Like the image carousel is the entire container, isn't it? It's like all of this stuff.
Yeah.
In this case, it's just the link. Inside the image container is all this additional stuff. So there's an H3 inside it that tells you what it is. It says it's Nona's Market and Deli. Useful information. However, because the wrapping anchor element has an ARIA label of image carousel, you're never going to get that as a screen reader user.
Right.
Because the ARIA label overrides all of the content inside that link. That is the name of the link. It is the only name of the link. So this stuff basically doesn't exist. You have no way of finding out what that actually is. And interestingly enough, furthermore, we've got this wrapping container here that also has an ARIA label, 2 of 15.
Okay.
That's a role of group. So theoretically, what should be happening here is you kind of jump in and you'll be notified that you're in a group, and the group is labeled 3 of 15.
Yeah.
That's also complicating because a group should be a wrapping for a group of items.
For all the 15.
Right. What is actually, well, no, in this case, what that group is it's the image and the heading and all of that.
Oh, I
all
see.
of those
Got
have
it.
been reduced to a single element because they're inside this link. There's all that's actually in there is this one link. There is no group. That is not a group. So that's just very misconceived. It's really not accurate. Above that, we're now into the other slides. So let's go to the parent of all of these slides and figure out what that is. To get past the first slide first, which is somewhere up here.
Yes, it's definitely there somewhere.
There's a lot of slides.
A lot of slides.
I don't want to go too fast because then I'll just,
zoom right past it. Yeah.
Gosh, there's a lot of these. Okay, there we
go. You got it. Yeah.
All right. So here we are. We've got this whole large scale group here. Now, this is the one I'm going to look at. So here, this has a role. So a role in ARIA is kind of, it's a way of telling something what it is. So like this has a role of list. That is the automatic role given to any UL, OL, or DL. They're all lists. Great.
Yep.
Now, a list is only supposed to have one set of items. They should be list items. So in a standard list, that would be an LI. In this case, it's a div, but you could give it a role of list item and it would be okay. They haven't. They've given it a role of group. That's not the expected child of a list. So that's going to create some disorganization. It should be a list item. It has an ARIA label of 315. ARIA label, as I mentioned, overrides the entire naming of the component. So it's going to be kind of giving it something like an enumerated list. If it was actually a list, with the role of list, that gives enumeration. So a screen reader user would be able to discover things like, by entering the list, it'll be this list has 15 items. They'd go to each one and be 3 of 15. They could discover that. In this case, that's not helpful. Also, I'm a little dubious about their ordering. Like this is the first slide with the ARIA label 11 of 15.
Okay. Yeah, that's curious.
So presumably that means that there's a random ordering going on here, but the ARIA labels are associated with some root order, but
that's always going to be 11. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know. That sounds like chaos to me.
Yeah.
I don't want to know all that detail. But then inside that, each div has a link with the ARIA label of image carousel, which doesn't make any sense. Some of the links contain background videos. So if we go here, this one was a YouTube video. So I'm going to go back to this and then go to the next one, which is this one.
Yeah, there it is.
And so what do we have inside here? we have a link with the ARIA label image carousel, and inside that link is the div containing the background video. That
Okay.
just doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
it's like you can't actually interact with the video because it's a link. It just points you to this other page. So to me, that's just chaos. The video itself is in a container with ARIA hidden. Oh yeah, this is clearly random because this is not the same image that was
You've now
next to
got a
it.
different one. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Oh, no, it just took a while to load, maybe. All right, that's fine. So when we go inside here, this div, see, it's got ARIA hidden. ARIA hidden means not available to a screen reader. It doesn't mean not available to a keyboard navigator. So a screen reader is both reading the screen and navigating with keyboard. So when you start clicking through here, you can tab through all of these items, but because they're ARIA hidden, they may have no name. This is something that's in kind of flux in some browsers, so that's not necessarily true in any given case. God, this is chaos. I can't look at this anymore.
Yeah, there is a lot going on.
All of the controls inside these players are focusable, so you can tab through all of these things, but none of them will have a name. They're all unnamed.
Okay.
And like I said, the links also contain these headings that have the name of the slide, which is the actual useful information for this slide, but they're hidden using display none, and they also are inside this container with ARIA label that overrides them. So there's no naming in here. It's basically just terrible. You can't get to any of this. That's all I can really say. That carousel is literally the worst.
Yeah. Okay. It gets
Now, who do you blame here? Like, this is an interesting, complicating question, because if you have been looking at this code, it is extremely obvious that this is an Elementor component. It's Elementor background video container.
Yeah.
It's Elementor.
It's peppered, isn't it? Yep.
No way to know really whether this is, well, okay, I'm sure there is a way to know. If I was more familiar with Elementor, I might be, oh, this is this component. I'm very familiar with it. I don't. It could be a custom component made for Elementor. It could be a specific add-on. It could be a core component. They clearly just used it. What responsibility does a site have for fixing those things? In my opinion, this is one of those things where we come back to that word they used in the very beginning, best.
Best.
If this is the best in design, I don't think best in design should mean we just used an out-of-the-box component and didn't fix any of the problems with it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, best in design is we used this component and we dealt with these challenges and we fixed them, and now it's better. If you're just using it out of the box, then great. But I guess, part of that is design just what it looks like, or is design the whole stack of what it looks like and how it works? To me,
I think the answer to that question in this scenario is the former.
Yeah.
The intention is to put the pixels on the page, and once that has been achieved, the enterprise is over, isn't it? It's done.
Right. But in judging these things, is that really fair? Like, is it just about what it looks like? I mean, if you make a poster and stick it up on a lamppost somewhere, it is kind of just about what it looks like. It's got to draw attention. There is no semantic context there, nothing for anybody to look at. But this is a website. Websites have a lot more to them, and I think we should have higher expectations. If it's going to be considered to be a great website, it should be better.
Yes, I suppose that's the contention, is it? If this was a website in development, or it was, I don't know, for a specific audience or whatever it may be, but the fact that it's been brought to your attention because it's being promoted with this word best, that's where
that's kind of where it goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I start to look at it with a different eye.
Right.
Because this is something that somebody has decided is best. And I'm not saying that necessarily I don't know how that arose, how the design blog came up with that and decided it was best. Like if it came from them and they're judging this, then that is a fault of whoever made that selection. And they picked this, and I think they should have looked more deeply because maybe there are things to design that are beyond just what it looks like.
Right. Right.
Because first of all, like none of these things I complained about with the carousel are unfixable, and not one of those things fixed would have had any impact on what it looked like or how they designed it. All of that accessible naming is just about exposing the useful content, the useful information properly to the user. You know, this is all ARIA attributes and roles, and they're just wrong.
Yeah.
They don't impact what it looks like. So
Yeah.
from a design perspective, those are all problems you can fix without any compromise at all to your website and your design concept. And that is something that I come down on, is like, you know, if you can fix these problems, like I understand that, like if you're really, really design focused, you know, maybe you do want to protect your design and the integrity of the design for you. Fine, whatever. I won't necessarily agree with that, but if that's your argument, fine. This is not that case. None of these things I've talked about are that case. They do not compromise the design. They just fix problems. The next one I looked at actually would ultimately compromise the design a little bit.
Okay.
And that's this red against pink thing. That's all fails color contrast.
Okay.
Which is, you know, pretty straightforward. It's just below color contrast, and they just have to darken that red or lighten that pink a little bit, and they would get there. To me, it's a minor point.
I suppose it's a minor point, but it's also... Sorry, you carry on.
No. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's a minor point, but it's also one, presumably, which of everything that you've covered so far is also the most straightforward to fix.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's very simple to fix.
Yeah, CSS change at one point in the website, and that's done. Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what these colors were. I'm not going to look for that right now. But they were just a little bit off. So there's a I don't remember how far, if I didn't write that down, and whatever. There is an interesting rule in the US ADA Title II rules, which is called the minimal impact rule, which is essentially says if the change would have a minimal impact on the user, then it can pass within the rules of the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, without change. And the specific example they actually give when talking about that is about color contrast. And it's about something that's at like 4.47, where the rule is 4.5.
Okay.
There's more to that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. But part of the argument there is that if something just barely fails, it might not be that important to change it.
That's a really curious sort of definition, because you can, you know, if like a sort of sporting analogy, if the football almost crosses the line, it's kind of shall we call it a goal? I think it was a goal. What do you think? Is it a goal? It was probably a goal.
I feel like the two teams might be in opposition on that.
That's right. But also, if there's a guideline, and the guideline is, okay, this is the boundary, to fudge the boundary seems. I mean, it almost seems like you're inviting people to fudge the boundary.
But I do think, you know, part of the problem there is everybody kind of knows with the color contrast guidelines that those boundaries are fuzzy.
Yeah, okay.
It's not that clear cut, and the specific colors matter. And if you test it with a different algorithm, you get a different result. And so is it that meaningful? And maybe it's not. Like, yeah, the rule is definitely 4.5. That is a very strict guideline. But how much of a difference does that actually make? But one of the things in the guideline, in the Title II rule, is actually about the fact that This isn't, you can't just decide on your own that this doesn't have an impact. It actually has to have a minimal impact on users. You have to actually test it with people, and
Right.
those people have to say, yeah, it doesn't make a difference to me.
Okay. Yep.
So, I do
Okay.
think there is some logic to that.
There's a little bit of wiggle room, but it's caveated, couched in real world experience. Okay.
I do question, like, one of the tricky things here is like, okay, so it's a known thing that color contrast has these fuzzy boundaries. But how does that apply to other things? Because most other things are, a little bit more clear cut. Like that form field either has a label or it doesn't. I mean, what is the point where that doesn't make a difference for a user then?
Yes. Yeah. It's
So,
got
I
half a
don't know.
label.
I don't know how that works.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so then I guess the last thing I looked at here was really just with Zoom,
Oh
which
gosh. Yeah.
is an interesting thing because this site has obviously got some absolutely enormous fonts. But it's also got some very small fonts, like including like the main navigation.
Main navigation is so minuscule. It's hysterical.
So like while you really very few people need Zoom to be able to see that title text better,
Yeah.
lots of people need to be able to see their social media and their privacy policy and the navigation. So what happens?
Let's see.
Where do we go here? So here's 110, 125, 150, 175.
Oh.
First rule kicks in at 200%.
Oh gosh.
Whoa, wow. That's kicked in their mobile. So
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
notable, which is fine. This is larger. This is all, God, I really don't like that. This is all fairly functional. What about some of their internal pages? I did click on that, didn't I?
I think you did.
Huh.
How is it not a link?
These are links. I just assumed they were links because they show that they have a hover state. What is that?
What is that? That's curious.
Okay, so it's just a
paragraph
div. It's a preview image. So this is going to have no keyboard equivalent. It's just a tooltip effectively that shows that image.
Okay.
Well, so that's not a link. I won't test that as a link.
Well, you can test it all you like. You're not going to get there.
Yeah. Here I've been going. Oh wow.
That really is now. That background video really is. I think we just stumbled across the most dramatic bit of whatever that video was, but it's very flashy, isn't it? There's a lot.
Yeah, it's quite flashy. And here, like the title texts are a little hard to get a context for, but they're visible. This isn't.
No.
Their graphic has enlarged well beyond the text, so the text is now behind it. That is a problem for Zoom, certainly. You can't see any of that. It could be worse. That's more like missed details. We got these images hovering over other bits of text. At different levels of zoom, that could become more of an issue. 200% is where I've gone to, and that's basically kind of the minimum allowable zoom.
Yeah.
Some other rules require to go to 400%, which now looks like this.
Okay. Curiously, the text was all visible at that point.
Yeah, it's gone to a different flow, which is actually better.
Well, I wonder if that's coincidence. The shoulder of that, or whatever that picture was.
It is probably a coincidence related to the specific width of this viewport.
Right.
Overall, like, it more or less works with this type of zoom. It is kind of chaotic. but there are worse things in this.
There's a lot there, Joe.
There is. It's oh, that's interesting. You can see through that. Sort of.
Yeah.
Well,
They really have thrown the kitchen sink at it from the,
there's
you
everything.
know, somebody I think probably is very much inspired by, like we said earlier, things like the Beatles and the Yellow
Yeah,
Submarine.
it's that kind of 70s
Right.
era animation with all the bright primary colors. Honestly, there's a lot of things I've kind of find fun about this. This is absolutely a fun design. I don't want to dispute that. Like, I'm not actually criticizing the design. I think this is a fun site. It's really interesting. There's a lot going on. I do, however, think there's so much they could have done that would have just respected accessibility needs without compromising that.
Yeah. And this
is really unfortunate, is when you've got these great design things, and like lots of people put clearly an enormous amount of time and thought into what this is going to look like, and zero time or thought into what somebody else's experience is going to be like. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah, I suppose that's where the line is here, isn't it? It's an exploration of what is, by any account, a beautiful website. If it were a poster, you would stare at it and really, you'd walk up to it closely and examine all the little components that it was made up of, because there are lots of detail, a lot of thought and a lot of attention has gone into this. But I think,
I love these little wacky creatures.
Yeah, it's very wacky, isn't it? But
looking at, for anybody who can't see it, is that's like this kind of purple Muppety looking thing. It's got a tail with a pink tip and
it almost looks like a hand.
Eyes. It's kind of like, it looks like a hand. It's got a parachute that's yellow attached to it, and it's holding an orange and yellow flower in its mouth, and it's bizarre.
And it's blinking as well.
It's blinking, and it's entertaining. It's fun,
very entertaining. But your hat, your whole thing is
right now.
Yeah, that's right.
Reduced animation on, and the thing is, it's an interesting thing about prefers reduced animation. It is not turn off all animation. It is reduce animation. So, like, what you want to do is you want to take it down to only necessary animations, very minimal. So it doesn't have to be that you have absolutely nothing dynamic. It should, however, be that, like, nothing should be just like continuously going like this. You shouldn't have these large movements. I think it would be like with reduced animation, I would want this to be static and maybe the eyes blink twice.
Right. All doable. Yeah.
It's totally doable. It would be kind of fun and unique, but not massively distracting.
No.
Anyway.
Well, there we go. So the website, the URL, and the place where Joe originally stumbled across this, the sort of award, if you like, that it received, the sort of kudos it received. I will put those in a description beneath this video on the website, and you can hopefully click on those and find them for yourselves. Again, the intention here is not to, as we made very clear at the beginning, the intention here is not to sort of pour scorn on this, but Joe's hat is very firmly fixed on the accessibility side of things. And so it is his role to look at these things and think, how would that be experienced by somebody who is not me, as in me, Nathan? And that's important. We don't want to leave people behind. We have this fabulous technology, the internet. Unfortunately, it's possible to create experiences which are not equal and equitable. And that just seems a little bit unfair, doesn't it? So there we go. Right. In which case, I will stop sharing the screen if that's acceptable. Have we finished? Yeah, finished with that side of things. Okay, in which case, there we go. It's me and Joe back. We'll be back for episode 10 at some point in the near future, hopefully. That was episode number 9. Episode 10 is hopefully going to be, it's the year 2020. Are you
going to say this? I don't know.
No, I don't even know. Let's leave it as a surprise. But I bet you can guess if it's got anything to do with the last 2 or 3 years. Maybe it'll be. something to do with that, but we'll see. But Joe, just before we go, tell us where we can find you. We obviously now know, if you've never seen Joe before, you obviously know he's got a lot of expertise in these areas. Where do you hang out?
So you can find me at my website, joedolson.com, where I publish articles and also distribute my premium plugins, my calendar, and my tickets. You can also find me on GitHub, because I live on GitHub an awful lot of the time at github.com/Joe Dolson. You can find me on my WordPress profile, profiles.wordpress.org/Joe Dolson. I'm not on social media nearly as much as I used to be, but you can find me on Blue Sky or on Mastodon.
Okay. Ideal. Thank you very much. So we'll be back at some point in the near future. Obviously, a great big thanks to Joe for giving up his time and teaching us all the things that we may not have found out otherwise. So thank you, Joe. And I hope you have a nice time between now and our next experience, number 10. Take it easy, Joe.
You too.